Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the Daily Trade the Chain Crypto Update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Wednesday, December 6th. We are midway through the week, and crypto total market cap continues to rise up another 1.5% today. Bitcoin hovering around 44K, up about 1.4% overall. ETH more or less flat, but still up. Bitcoin daily sentiment still quite bullish, as is ETH daily sentiment. So we'll go over those because I do think it's interesting that Bitcoin sentiment is still this high. And obviously, ETH sentiment is actually higher right now. So maybe some good things on the horizon. We've got some, crap coins. This BTT has been going absolutely crazy. A lot of these top gainers actually had big days. Bake had a massive day yesterday and then sold off. So it's always, and it's something we'll talk about with Bitcoin whenever we do see, crazy sentiment, in these 90s levels for multiple days at a time. Sometimes it's, it's just like when you see price, hitting a massive resistance level and then unable to break through. It's almost, very similar, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Stablecoin exchange flows, a lot of stables coming onto exchanges, and that's been kind of a continuous process. So just these two candles right here is 170 million being added. We've got, slight withdrawals, but I would say, overall still, close to 100 million of stables added. And of course, typically those are going to then buy cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin's daily sentiment, starting to drift down a little bit, but obviously still high, even when we have seen drifts throughout this kind of this parabolic cycle. It's still it's led to, a little bit of consolidation, but ended up higher. So we'll have to monitor that and definitely want to see how it reacts near these highs around, mid 70s. And if we drop further into kind of the 60s, see what that reaction's like, because when we bounced off that neutral level, this is actually an inverse head and shoulders as well that then propelled us, much higher. So definitely something to watch for there. Trading volumes are up like crazy, as are tweet volumes. And then let's check out ETH. So ETH is starting to kind of look like Bitcoin did when it first rose. Obviously, we can't see past those previous 7 days, but looking very similar to Bitcoin before its parabolic rise. Obviously, ETH has been on a great trajectory for the past week, but now sentiment is firmly bullish and growing more bullish. So that should be a good sign for ETH and alts on the horizon. So we will have to see how that plays out. But I definitely do still like ETH, whether you're spot trading. Obviously, we told the TTC community after this much, this much parabolic price action, probably better to ease back on the use of too much leverage. So I've only been doing about 5x for my trades right now, just because it's, after seeing what happened Sunday with that slight Bitcoin pullback and, things, alts down 10% on the day. Obviously, many have recovered, but still, worrisome to use too much leverage. So let's dig into the charts. And before I get started, hello, Mr. Bloomfield. Do appreciate you checking in. Do love the good days and good mornings from you. So let's check out DXY. Obviously, we have been moving higher, and we still got sold off near this high. If we get above this high, still that 104.6 area, and then breaking back below into this kind of trend area, you'd think, maybe 103.2 or maybe down here at 103. But DXY is still heading higher, and does seem likely that this mid 104.5 or 104.6 area will probably get tagged sooner rather than later. But again, needs to make it above 104.2. And then if we check out equities, still performing quite well. Vertical accumulation, very similar to many crypto assets right now. Just kind of getting a feel for the LTF, continuously making higher lows, right? And we haven't even, we have not tested this 4540 level this week, and did tell the TTC community if we get rejected off this level right here, we would probably end up at the previous daily close, which we are hovering at right now, and also coincides with the weekly VWAP, as you can see right there at 45.68. So this does still look good to me. Could definitely still drop down here, right around 4.558. But as long as we stay above that level, that's another higher low. and should propel us, back towards these highs. So moral of the story is, as long as we make higher lows in the lower time frame, the only issue is these highs right here. So we need to then make a higher high, because obviously we did sell off there. So some may say this is beginning to look like a inverse or a head and shoulders, which you can definitely say, because shoulder, head, shoulder. But if it does buck, if it does buck the typical what you'd expect from a head and shoulders, which would be kind of heading down here, if we can stay above either this level or this level, then there is still trajectory to be heading higher. But again, need to make it above that 4,600 level to make it higher. So looking at Bitcoin, definitely worrying signs here, because now we are beginning to make lower highs on the lower time frame, and this could possibly turn into a lower high. I hope not. But if we kind of just focus on the levels for the TTC community, make it above this level, get up here, make it above this level, then you can start to target 45K and above. The next major level that I have lined out is 48K, and I did not think that 40. Well, we did tell the TTC community, if it gets above here, we'll target 44.6 next. That was a very quick ride higher. So I'm not counting out the fact that we can't rip up towards 48K on a break of 44.6. But, it's also tough to, expect that explosive price action consistently, week after week. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just, I wouldn't just expect busting back over 44.6 almost immediately. I would expect probably something more like this to kind of fake people out, bust above it, drop back below it, but still form a higher low and then end up higher. It's been pretty much doing that consistently for every rise higher. So, not counting out a bust higher, but I think it'll be, a little bit more tricky just based on what's previously happened. But I do think that, 48K will likely be hit, I would say, probably before the holidays. So, I definitely think it's likely. It's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. But does that if also include, a drop back here before, zooming higher, or do we just basically do this again, form these higher lows, that higher high, and then bust higher? So that's the question that you kind of have to ask yourself. And I think that's why you should relax on the leverage. And if you're in spot, or you bought spot from lower, or even in the 40s, then you're chilling. So no reason to stress too much right now. So basically, the way that I'm looking at BTC for the time being is these kind of levels right here. So if we get rejected from the current level, I still think that this is probably a pretty good area to catch, which is 43.4. And if we break below 43.4, then you would think about the weekly VWAP, or the previous local high, which was right here at 42.4. So if you can get above this high right here, which has obviously been a struggle, then you can obviously, again, make it up to this high, or that kind of resistance level that I have marked out at 44.6. And then, of course, again, if you make it above 44.6, you have all of this kind of room to roam. And you've seen what happened when Bitcoin has these gaps in resistance, once, twice, pretty big zooms higher. So not expecting that to happen immediately. Probably going to be at least maybe one more fake out, maybe a little bit more consolidation, but those are the next targets. And in the worst case scenario, we would expect a catch at the 42.4 level. And if this holds, then that's probably a good spot to, again, load up on alts, make some more trades, or maybe buy some more spots for anything that drops 5 to 10%. So let's check out ETH. And so the way that we're looking at it, the way we told TTC, so you can get above the 2275, which is this high. This is the Monday high. Then you can get back up to this level, which, kind of 2300, 2310. That's kind of a little demand zone right there. Then if you can get above that level, then you've got a lot of room to roam. And the next major target that I have lined out is 2440. And, we told the TTC community, if it got above, and I even explained this on the daily crypto update yesterday, above that weekly VWAP, we would, target that Monday high, possibly higher. we got that trade. Now, the issue for me this morning with ETH was, we did deviate above the Monday high. Remember, Monday high is right here, and then we got back in the Monday range. So we're still currently in the Monday range, although it is trying to bust higher. So basically, kind of thinking in the same way that we did yesterday, if you can close above this Monday high, then I would say that you're good to go for longs up to 2300, 2310, right? So kind of the same thesis that we had yesterday for price action. But obviously, if that is not the case, then we will likely be stuck, roaming kind of right here until we can get a close higher, or we close beneath the weekly VWAP, which would likely send us back towards the Monday low. I don't know if it'll exactly tag the Monday low again. It did defend it pretty hard, but that is always a possibility. And I would say at your first target on a short beneath the weekly VWAP would be the weekly value area, which is right around 2220, and then your next target would be kind of right down here. But again, if we do close above this level, I'm saying that level is next. And then, if you can get close above 2300, ideally close above these highs, then you've got room to kind of run higher. Whether or not it's a choppy ride up here, that's who's to say. But I do think that 2400, 2440 would be the next natural target for a close above 2310, in my opinion. So ETH is a little bit more straightforward than Bitcoin right now, in terms of opportunity. But again, if we just kind of look at ETH BTC, it's still just moving lower. And this doesn't mean that ETH can't move higher with Bitcoin. It just means that Bitcoin is moving higher at a faster pace. So, and I guess, if you are looking at the ETH BTC chart, if you are a zealous trader, then, you'll know that it's hit this demand zone again, which has been valid since the 23rd of October. So every time it kind of taps in this area, it jumps higher. We obviously had that big jump that then sold off pretty hard into where we are now. But this is an area of interest for traders. Obviously, very, very defined risk here. So if you think ETH is going to outperform, you would set your stop at this low, hope that it gets above the previous daily close and moves higher like that. And then if it breaks below this low, then you would trade it down to the 049 level, and then for possible catch higher, or obviously break and then head lower. So one of those. So again, that's a very risky trade. I have not, there's no real signal for it, but it's kind of sitting there. But I still don't hate ETH trades at this level. It just needs to hit the prerequisite areas to actually take the trade. So again, above this level, target this level. Above this level, we can target all the way up here. And that's pretty much it for the day. I guess might as well cover this because I've seen a lot about it. It obviously has already had a pretty solid run. And this kind of goes with the idea that, maybe it's getting a bit oversold. Let's I could have just oh yeah, it will go for me. So wait for this to load up. I just did a bunch of clicks. So Doge sentiment is quite crazy. And it again, it's at this kind of this 90 level, and it has obviously kind of formed a bit of a toppy structure. So I wouldn't short it here, but I would definitely look for possible re-entries or consolidation beginning right around this 0.096 level. Definitely tough to suggest any buys after this kind of chart, especially for Doge. So, I would definitely watch out for kind of a failure event, but if it does hold this level right here, meaning no candle body close beneath this level. Ooh, sorry, because we want to hold market structure, right? So we don't want to have a candle body close beneath this level, and that'll hold market structure. And then you can probably take a long like this with a stop either here or here, depending on how tight you want your risk to be. And then of course, if it breaks lower, I would look for a catch right around here. And then you can then kind of play, you know, a sweep, target here, and then target these highs or something like that. So definitely Doge, you know, with sentiment that high, definitely worth keeping an eye on. Usually we will see continued outperformance, but if it consistently stays, you know, up here for maybe another 24, 48 hours, then I would start to think about, you know, cutting the trade or maybe possibly getting a scalp short in, because anytime we see overextended sentiment, typically also implies overextended price action. Now, you're probably wondering the same thing with BTC, but BTC also kind of came off that 90s level pretty quickly, which means that people started to kind of doubt it, you know, down here in the 41s, 42s. And if they're not doubting it, then it's going to stay kind of consistently high up here, and then that's when you think that, you know, the euphoria is kind of set in. So I really do like this for Bitcoin, as long as we can kind of hold these mid 70s level, where it's at 75 right now. So as long as we can hold mid 70s or at worst the 60s, I do think that Bitcoin will then consolidate and head higher. So that'll clean it up for today. Good luck, you know, happy trading. We'll see everybody tomorrow. And again, you know, if you want our daily analysis, get access to the TTC dashboard and everything else, 14-day free trial at www.tradethechain.com. See everybody tomorrow.